Hello and welcome to week 11 of the Country Garden Crochet Along. This week we're going to be making our rose squares, which are going to be attached into the corners of the 4 panels we've made around our lawn. So how do we make them? Okay, so we're going to be starting our rose squares with a lovely red and a magic circle. So into that magic circle you're going to chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. And now you're going to make 5 single crochet inside the circle. So I'm just going to mark the first one and then make another 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in total. There we go. And I'm going to pull that circle tight and I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet. Okay, that's round 1. So round 2, you're going to chain 1. That chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch. And in the same stitch, in the back loop only, you're going to make 2 single crochet. Mark that first one and the second one in the same stitch. Okay, so we want to leave that front loop free because we're going to be working into that later. So in the other 4 stitches you're going to make 2 single crochet in the back loop only as well. So 2, that's number 3, back loop only into number 4, 2 in there, and then the last one. No, so you should have 10 single crochet. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so this last bit here, that's the slip stitch from the round below. Okay, and now I'm going to slip stitch into the first single crochet of the round. There we go. So you should have this ring of front loop stitches. Okay, so now we need to drop the red. So I'm just going to pull up a loop and put the stitch marker in so that doesn't come undone. And I want to join my next colour, which is a white. Just find my end, there we go. Okay, so I recommend joining this into the last stitch of the previous round. And you're going to be joining in the back loop only. So I'm just going to pull that in and chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch. Okay. So the important part here is that your red thread needs to be on the front. Okay, you need it sitting on the front for when we pick it up later. So that's the loop you're working with and your working yarn. All need to sit on the front. Okay, so back to the white. In the back loop only, in that same stitch you joined into, you're going to make 2 double crochet. 1 and 2. Just put a stitch marker in the first one. There. And now you're going to make 2 double crochet in each stitch round. So the reason I said start with the last stitch of the previous round, so that you can make sure that you do have those 2, you're working your yarn for the red on the front straight away. So sticking with the back loop only, in the next stitch make another 2 double crochet. And you're going to make 2 double crochet in the back loop for each stitch round. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and I shall be back to you in a moment. Sorry, my dogs are playing. I'll come back to you when they finish playing as well. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I got back to the end of the round and I'm going to slip stitch into that first double crochet. So you should have 20 double crochet. Okay, so we're going to do one more round in the white, and we're going to square off our circle. So we're going to start by chaining 2. Okay, so that doesn't count as a stitch. And in the same stitch you're going to make a double crochet. Okay, and this is our first stitch. So just grab my stitch marker. And then we're going to double crochet in the next 2 stitches. 1 and 2. Okay, so in the next stitch we're going to make our corner. So we're going to make several stitches all in this next stitch here. So you're going to make a double crochet, then a treble crochet, oops, then chain 2, then still working in the same stitch, you're going to make another treble, and then double crochet. Okay, and that is your corner. Okay, so now we're going to make a double crochet in the next 4 stitches. Okay, so just one double crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. It's 2, 3 and 4. And then we're going to make another corner. So in the next stitch, make a double crochet. Okay, and then still working in the same stitch, make a treble. Then chain 2. Still working in the same stitch, make another treble. And then double crochet. Okay, so all those stitches in one stitch to make your next corner, and then we're going to repeat. So double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then the next stitch we make another corner. So double crochet, then a treble, chain 2, another treble, and then finally a double crochet, all that in the same stitch. Now make a double crochet in the next 4 stitches. 1, 2, 3 and 4. Just move that red down there. And then we're going to make our final corner in this stitch here. So all in the same stitch, you make a double, a treble, chain 2, oops, treble, then double, all in the same stitch, and then in our final stitch make a double. Okay, so that there is our slip stitch from the previous round, and then when you get to the end you can slip stitch into that first double crochet of the round. Okay, and that is the size of our little square. So we can now cut off the white, we won't be needing that anymore. And I'm just going to pull that through and take the stitch marker out. Okay, so now we need to go back to our red and make our rose. Okay, so your red should be sitting on the front, so you can just pull that up that loop, Okay, so we're going to be working into the front loops of our round 2 and round 1. Okay, so we're going to start with the chain 1. That doesn't count as a stitch. Okay, all working in the same stitch. Okay, so it's the same stitch you just picked up. You're going to make 2 single crochet. Okay, so 1 and 2. I'm not going to be using a stitch marker because it just gets in the way for this round. Still working in that same stitch. Okay, so you're just working into that front loop. You're going to make 6 double crochet. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Still working in that same stitch. You're now going to make another 2 single crochet. So you've got 10 stitches in that one stitch. Okay, and that's our first petal of our rose. So in the next stitch, which is the next front loop, you're going to make a slip stitch. And then we're going to move to our next front loop. And we're going to repeat. So we're going to repeat that petal. 1, 2 single crochet, then 6 double crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6, and then make 2 single crochet. 1 and 2, and then in the next front loop you're going to slip stitch. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing that round and you'll end up with 5 petals in total. Okay, so after my slip stitch, into the next stitch you do 2 single crochet, 6 double crochet, 2 single crochet, slip stitch in the next stitch. Okay, so all this in those front loops. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that, and I shall see you when I get back to the beginning of the round. Okay, so I've done my 5th petal and I've just finished my last single crochet of that. We're not going to slip stitch into the beginning of where we started in this round. Instead, we're going to jump forward and we're going to slip stitch into the slip stitch of round 1. So I'm just going to get in there. And we're going to carry on the same pattern in our round 1 front loops. Okay, so you're going to have 3 petals in round 1. So now I'm going to move to the first front loop. Okay, so this should be in front of the slip stitch from where we've just been, so it'll kind of sit between those 2 petals. And we make our petals exactly the same way. So 2 single crochet, then 6 double crochet, followed by 2 single crochet in each stitch. Oops, didn't grab a loop there, sort that out. Okay, and then you will slip stitch into the next front loop. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. It can be a bit fiddly this row, because this round even, because you keep having to move the other petals out of the way. But it'll be well worth it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish those 3 petals, and I shall see you when we get back to the beginning of the round. Okay, so I've finished my final petal. I'm going to finish off by slip stitching into that slip stitch that we joined into round 1 with. And that is your rose square complete. Okay, so now you can cut off, weave in your ends. Okay, and when you weave in your ends, weave them so you bind these petals together at the bottom, and that's going to make them stand up. Okay. And then once you've done that, you can get everything woven in, and then we're going to attach it to our corners. So I'm going to go ahead and weave my ends in, and then I'll show you how we do that. So to attach our square, you're going to need a darning needle, a nice length of the white thread, and then get your main piece and make sure it's turned onto the back, so the back's facing up. And then you get your square facing down. And we're going to whip stitch it all together. So the panels you've done on your main piece are 10 stitches high. That is 10 single crochet stitches. So every double crochet row I have on the side here is 2 stitches. Okay. Right. So we're going to be attaching the square using the back loops only. So you should have 4, 5, 6, yeah, you got 6 double crochet down the side, and then you got the 2 stitches here. So that makes 10 stitches. Okay, I'm going to start at the top here. So in the second loop of your chain 2, which will be back here, and then this goes into the side of our single crochet row at the top of tulips. So you'll have to work this out for each row, but it's either going to be a single crochet or a double crochet. So then I'm going to go into the side, but the back. So you should have some back loops. Go into the side there and into the second of our chains on the square. Then into the back loop of the treble, and then this goes into the bottom back loop of the double crochet here. So you have to go into a double crochet row twice. First into the top, then into the bottom when you're going using the sides of the stitch. Okay, so then we go the next stitch. So that's the top loop of your double crochet, and then back loop of the next stitch, and into the bottom part of that double crochet row. Then we have the single crochet row. So always using the back loops if you can, because we don't want the sewing to be visible if we can help it. Okay, then to the bottom part of that goes there, and all the way down. Top part of the double crochet row. Oh, I missed a single crochet row. That's fine. I can adjust. I'm a big believer in just making do. I don't like undoing things if I can help it. And then an extra stitch is going to be this corner here. So this is the second part of the corner, and just make sure that it's nicely attached. That counts as an extra stitch in there. And then we move on to the next part and do the same again. So if you're not getting exact, I wouldn't worry, as long as it's not rippling up or stretching in any places, then it will do. So I'm a big believer in try your best, but if you don't get it exact, meh. As long as you get it roughly right, it's not going to be noticeable. So yeah, perfectionism is overrated. I'll just keep going through those stitches until we get to the top. Okay, so when we do get to the top, we'll be joining in our ends, and when you're weaving in, just make sure that, done it again, I've definitely missed out something there. Right, go into that one twice. It's very easy to lose track when doing this, so, which is why done is best. Okay, and there it is. So even though I did get my count slightly wrong, that fits really well. Okay, and what I will do is, when I weave in these ends, I'm going to make sure that it's kind of doubly attached to both those ends and fits really nice and secure. So once you've done that, you need to make 3 more squares and attach each of them into the other 3 corners.